Listen, I want to talk with y'all today about an issue that you all need to really pay attention to because you're not only hurting yourselves, but you're hurting everyone around you. And this is that statement that so many of you are making. I'm not perfect. Why are you judging me? Understand that whether or not you realize it or not, this is just an excuse. You're running from responsibility. You're running from being that leader that you're supposed to be. Not that you're just supposed to be, but really you are. Because regardless of who you are, you have people that look up to you. You have people that look at you and they say, listen, that's where I want to be. That's the example that I want in my life. They're watching and they're listening. Whether you're a parent and it's your children, whether it's that you're part of an organization and it's somebody that hasn't reached where you've reached, regardless of who you are, you have people that are looking and saying, listen, that's where I want to be. Whether or not you want to be a leader or not, you are a leader. So you need to understand that you need to be setting the example for those individuals. And don't tell me, well, I don't need to fake the funk. I got to keep it real. I got to keep it 100. Listen, you're not about keeping it 100. And how do we know? Because you around the right type of people. Your whole vocabulary changes. The way you stand, the way you sit changes. The things that you talk about change. But you get around those people that you feel that may not be on your level or higher. And now you say, you want to let your hair down and, take the hair out the bun. And listen, you can't do that. You're looking at the wrong individuals. Those other people, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to notice you. They're not shaping their lives around the way that you run your life. Look, you go out to work and you dress the best you can. You act the best you can. You're on the best behavior you can. You try and do the best job you can. You go home with your children, with your spouse, and it's straight hood. This doesn't make any sense. You talk any old way. You say any old thing out of your mouth. You dress however you want to dress. And then you say, okay, well, listen, you need to accept me the way I am. Why do they need to accept you? Those are the ones that need you to be at your best. When you understand that you're part of an organization or a group, that people are looking at this group, you don't just say, okay, well, listen, look, I got to keep it 100. No, you represent. Not because you're better than those other individuals, but you understand that there are people from that crowd that are looking and saying, listen, I want to be like them. You have to give them something to aim for. You can't put yourself in a situation to where they feel like you're just one of them. Not because you're better than them, but you need to, one, for yourself, you need to be striving for excellence, and you need to give them that excellence to strive for. This is your responsibility. Stop shucking and jiving and live up to what you were created to do, which is be a leader. Now, not all leaders are on the same level, but if you were put in a position to lead, then you need to take that position and you need to lead. All right. So if everyone keeps making this statement, then who's going to lead? Who's going to step up? And it's even worse for those of you who understand the position that you're in. And you're those people that are telling the people, listen, you have to be better. You have to do this. You have to do this. You should watch the way you walk. You should watch the way you talk. You should watch the things that you say, this, that, and the other. And then you turn around and say, okay, well, listen, I'm not perfect. You have to understand that this is something that is not acceptable for you to be doing. This is something that, first and foremost, as a Muslim, you already know this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like. You know that in Surah As-Saff, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, oh, you who believe, why do you say that which you do not do? That it is one of the most disliked things or hated things with Allah, that you say that which you don't do. Okay, so we need to understand about this particular ayah, that it's not right for us to be running around saying things and acting in ways to make people believe that we're upon something that we're not upon, and then us not raising our standards and trying to be upon it. We can't be preaching to people that this is the way we have to be when our standards aren't like that for ourselves, when we're just willing to be whatever, do whatever, and say whatever, and then turn around and use this excuse, well, I'm not perfect. You should be trying to be as close to it as possible, especially when you know better. Now, I want to break this down to you in 3 points so that you understand why what I'm talking to you about tonight is so important. The first of these is that you're already a leader, whether or not you know it. And the second is that excuses are contagious. And the third is that you can't really pass on that which you're not living. The first is, as I said, that you're a leader even if you don't know it. I need you to understand that you don't have to be on a stage, you don't have to hold a particular title or anything along these lines to be a leader, to be a shepherd. You know that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that was reported by both Imam al-Bukhari as well as Imam Muslim, where he said that each one of you is a shepherd, and each one of you is responsible for their flock, or that which he is responsible over. So regardless of how you want to put it, and make yourself feel better, well, I'm not a leader, no, you are. You have to understand that you have a position that needs to be filled. You're responsible for making sure that those who look up to you, or those who are supposed to be looking up to you, have a good example to look up to. You need to look and figure out, are you leading them towards getting closer to Allah, getting closer to the entrance into the Jannah and gaining Allah's pleasure? Or are you leading them in ways that are going to do nothing but gain Allah's anger and possibly land them in a situation that's not best for them? You need to understand that this position that you keep trying to run from with this statement, making this particular excuse that we were talking about, that I'm not perfect. You need to understand that you need to do better and stop making excuses for trying to be subpar. And number two, in terms of excuses being contagious, you need to understand that your excuses, or this particular excuse, it doesn't just affect you, but it affects everyone around you. When you start talking about keeping it real and, I'm not perfect and I'm not a role model and this, that, and the other, when you look around, you're going to notice that others start saying that, or they start taking on this idea, and they too become lax in what they do and what they say. They too get this idea that, we got to keep it 100. They get this idea that, listen, I'm just doing me. So that excuse that you're making for you're wanting to continue being weaker than you're supposed to be being, it rubs off on everyone around you. You being lax allows everyone else to be lax. Just like when you're in a situation where you're around individuals that you respect. When they act a certain way, you act that way as well, with high standards. But when you see them getting loose, it makes it easier for you to get loose, and you let go of what it is that you were supposed to be upon. Because why not? Everybody else is doing it. Why do you want to be that individual for other people? Why do you want to sit around other people and you let loose? And then they start letting loose and you be the cause of it. Is this really how you want to meet your Lord? Knowing that you lowered the standards, not just for you, but everyone else around you? And the last point that I wanted to point out about this is that, like I said, you can't pass on that which you don't live. You need to ask yourself, those people who are looking at you, regardless of whether or not you want to take notice to them or not, you need to ask yourself, what is it that you want them to get from you? Because you have to understand that they're following what you do, not necessarily what you say. You could talk to them all day about being upright and about being this and about being more religious but if all they see from you is garbage, 9 times out of 10 they're going to follow that garbage. We're talking about your children and other people that look up to you. You know how they always say, they do as you say, or they do as you do, not as you say. It's the truth, and you know it. So those people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in a situation or position to look up to you, you're giving them nothing but garbage to look up to and excuses. And when they turn around and start doing it, don't say, well, listen, I told you to be better. Listen, no, the world doesn't work like that. Even though, okay, well, maybe it should. You can say that all day long. But if you know that this is the reality and this is what you're putting in front of those people who are actually taking you as an example, then you're to blame for how all of this is coming out for them. Or even if we don't say that you're completely all to blame, because I know some of you are going to be in the comments, well, you can't blame me for that. No, but you're the one setting that example. They've set their bar at you, and you set the bar so low. So yeah, maybe they should have known, okay, I shouldn't follow them in this. But if you know that they're going to follow you, then you have to set that bar high. You setting that bar high is not going to do anything but help you, and it's going to help them. Stop making excuses and say, so that you can set the bar low and say, well, you know, you should do what I say, not as I do. No. You remember that old phrase, monkey see, monkey do. This is how the world works. Stop making excuses for how you feel as though things should be. And live in the real world. Now, how does this relate to your real everyday life? You need to think about it like this. Yes, for sure. You've been through things. You've gone through problems and situations in your life. You know, you've gone through hardships and things along these sorts, and you're just like, you know, I gotta be me. I gotta do me. I've had problems, trauma in my life, and this, that, and the other. You have to understand that people don't need perfect examples. That's not what most people are looking for, because they're not perfect. What they're looking for is individuals who have gone through stuff and they can continue to strive. They can continue to push forward. They can continue to get better. This is what makes people look up to other people, because they feel as though they're in a really good position. And listen, I want to be like that person. I'm going to follow their example. When they move, I'm going to move. They put a right foot forward, I'm going to put my right foot forward. They put their left foot forward, I'm going to put my left foot forward. I'm going to do what they do because I want to get where they're at. You have to understand that you need to keep trying. Stop giving up. Stop making excuses for falling short. Because you're not only hurting you, you're hurting everybody that's looking at you. Now listen, you know I don't like to keep you very long. These are supposed to be short reminders. So I'm going to sum it all up for you. You need to understand, you need to drop this mindset of, I'm not perfect. Own your flaws. Don't give in to them. You need to ask yourself at the end of every day, if someone was following my lead right now, or the way in which I live my life today, would they be better off or worse off for it? Now, what I'm saying isn't about, making you feel guilty. It's about pushing us to be better. Now, I've done enough talking for the day. What I want now is I want some participation from all of you. I want you to let me know why you think that it's so acceptable as a society for each one of us to feel all right with just giving in to our faults and our flaws when it comes to those individuals that we should be trying to be our best for. And when it comes to those people who really probably don't care, we push ourselves to being better than we actually need to be. Is this something that you all are saying, or is it just something that I'm saying and maybe I'm off? I could be off. And I've never had a problem with any of you in the past telling me, listen, Abdul-Lateef, listen, usually I'm with you, but I'm not with you on this one. If you see that I'm wrong, then let me know I'm wrong. But I see this as something that's plaguing our society, and I see it something that needs to be fixed, not just for us, but again, for those people who are looking at us. Those people who are looking to find, listen, how can I be better? Because as I said before, listen, yes, we all had problems. We've all had issues through our lives and things along these sorts, but people know this about us. We need to be showing people that, listen, just because we went through things doesn't mean that this is who we are. We still need to be striving to be better. And listen, if we can do it, you can do it. So this is just my outtake on the issue. Like I said, I'd like to hear from what it is that all of you have to say. So inshallah, leave your message in the comment section and we can carry on the conversation from there. Also, for those of you who would like a deeper conversation about the issue, you can join the Telegram, and there's a link in the description for it. It's free. Come through, join our official channel, inshallah, join in on the conversation. We'd like to hear what you had to say there as well. طيب جزاكم الله خير وبارك الله فيكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And I do want to say, as I always say, listen, understand that these conversations that I have with you are about us trying to be better together. This is a goal I have. We need to get better as a community and as a ummah so that we can be that example to the rest of the world that we're supposed to be. طيب. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Inshallah, I'll see y'all in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, comment. Let us know you were there. Help us out as far as with the algorithm. You just liking it or pressing the follow button will push it out to people just like you that need to hear this message. So I've done my part by leaving the video. You do your part by helping to get the message out there. And inshallah, we'll get together in the next video. Jazakumullahu khair wa barakallahu feekum.